Hey everybody, welcome to the latest edition of the PressBox Party Special Holiday Edition and a special in case of emergency break glass with Rob Fiorino edition. Tim Ring, as always, along with me, and Rob joining us. And we were planning on having an NFL guest on this week, but due to some family concerns at the last minute, we had to break out the emergency card and settle for a guy wearing an NFL hat.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, we got a guy with an NFL hat. Is that close enough?
I guess I'm the best fallback guy you have, right?
Yeah, but Rob, you have been in a press box at some point, right?
Yeah, I have, thanks to Dave.
Yeah, there you go. So you qualify for the podcast here a couple of days before Christmas. What's going on, brother?
Oh, man, just chilling out in Florida. Actually, very much chilling out at this point. It is cold.
Yeah, it's been cold in California. It's been cold in Arizona. I normally do the podcast outside. This is the second week in a row I've had to do it inside in front of my very small Christmas setup here. But you know, it is cool having a Rob on, because people at home are gonna be like, Rob Fiorino, who's Rob Fiorino? No offense, Rob, but you're not exactly a household name.
No.
But the great thing about Rob is Rob Fiorino is one of the people, Tim, who actually even predates you. And I know you know Rob because you know the story, but Rob was actually my very first job in broadcasting was as a morning show producer at a rock radio station in Syracuse, New York. And Rob actually had that job in addition to being the overnight DJ. He would then stick around and be the morning show producer. And then I came in to intern for Rob. And then eventually Rob trained me well enough that Rob would take a nap on the couch and let me produce the show. And then eventually they just hired me. Is that pretty much, am I remembering that accurately, Rob?
No, you are correct. You were the intern and you did the work that I was doing, and I was doing overnights at the time, and I had you come in. Yeah, and I was tired. So I said, Dave, I showed you how to do the work, and I went and took a nap.
And it was WAQX, Manlius, Syracuse, 95.7, 95X. I think it's still called 95X. I don't think it's classic rock anymore. And
no, it's I think it's like alternative rock.
And we pulled back the curtain here a little bit, and it's now pretty much legal everywhere. So there were occasions where I might come in a little bit early, and Rob and I might have lit one up. No, and then we'd put on.
Look, man, you know, in radio, it's radio, it's a prerequisite. If it's rock and roll radio, it's a prerequisite.
It's amazing. There have been so many great broadcasters that have come out of Syracuse, people in the broadcasting industry, and also you two.
I know. But they even some of the ones that weren't good come out of Syracuse. That's true. Oh man, I'm still broadcasting, though.
Okay, what do you got going these days, buddy?
Well, it's called Jeep Beach Radio. I don't know if anybody's, if your listeners and followers and viewers are familiar with Jeep Beach. Some of them might be. It's a huge event that's held every April here in Daytona Beach. And it's all the vendors. There is an obstacle course. It's all the stuff is brought inside the track at Daytona International Speedway. 225,000 people, 25,000 Jeeps. And it's like 9 days, 10 days worth of nothing but Jeep stuff. It's a blast. And I'm on Jeep Beach Radio. I started that. I came up with the idea about a year and change ago. Why not? Why don't we just do a Jeep Beach Radio thing? So now you can actually hear Jeep Beach Radio. It's kind of plays all kinds of music, because no one Jeeper no Jeepers are the same. Just as diverse, the music is as diverse as the Jeep community. I mean, country, pop, rock, dance. You know, we even have a reggae show on Sundays. So that's what I've been doing now. That's the big thing.
And well, in addition to, you've been doing a lot of imaging for radio stations, which across the country.
Well, yeah, that's the job. Yeah.
So, and I would bet there's people listening to this podcast right now that have heard your work and have no idea that they've heard your work, because you do imaging nationally.
Oh, yeah, we do all over the place. And, you know, even in, now Hawaii, we're in I guess we're in Trinidad and Tobago. We're all over the place. So yeah, we've been doing it for quite a while now, since that's kind of what I did. You know, after my radio days, I kind of went behind the scenes and started doing the production work. I voice some stations. I'm on a couple of different, I'm on an AC station in Tampa, the Dove, WDUV, and I'm the voice of that station. I'm a voice of a sports station in Omaha, Nebraska.
Now, what do you mean by Rob? What do you mean by that? The voice, like you do their promos, like later tonight. Yeah, like
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that kind of, yeah, for the
okay,
radio stations, yeah, the big voice guy, that kind of thing, and also a station. There's a station in Cape Cod I'm also on.
fantastic. Yeah, no, you still got. Do you have an in-home recording studio and you fire that stuff right out?
Oh yeah, I mean it's all like right here. You can see all the wires.
Nice.
I mean I don't know if it's you can see. And there's the little microphone that I use. This is here at the house. Now I've also got an office that I'm at. But
Yep.
today being so close to the holiday, I'm lucky enough to be able to work from home and go into the office at same. So
You still got the pipes, man. Hey, listen, as a guy who's been in the radio business for a long time, I want to get your perspective on the death of the local DJ. Now, there are still some men and women doing the job, but when we were growing up, man, it was a much bigger deal. It was much more prestigious. I mean, these guys and women as well, obviously. I mean, you knew their schedules, everybody was on, and boy, that kind of profession it's just not the same anymore, Rob. I mean, what do you think?
well, it's not. You're right. You're right. Absolutely, it isn't. But everything changes, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. A lot of these guys have gone from being on the air, and you hear them on 95.7 or 104 point whatever. You've got podcasts now. Everybody has got a podcast, and I know that there's people who lose their jobs in radio. They start up a podcast, so you can always
People who lose
follow
their jobs in TV would start up podcasts too.
Yeah, I know it. Look at that. But see, you guys are doing the video end of things, so that's great. But I mean, it really is. The industry has changed, and I mean, like anything else, everything has changed. I mean, television has changed. News is not the same. Local sports. Now, I remember when you guys were in Miami, and you guys had a sports TV show that you were doing. Was it once a week, once a night, every night, right?
Every night for a half
Yeah.
hour, yeah. You don't see
Yeah.
that anymore.
No,
I mean,
that's
it's not
gone.
not a lot anyway.
No, I mean it's everything has changed. Not just radio, but television's changed too. I don't think it's for the worse. I mean, there's just look, you got the internet now, and the internet's just taken everything to another level.
Well, then you talk about the internet. I mean, and obviously you got Spotify and Apple Music, and I mean, people don't really need to even listen to the radio at all. It's like you just put your playlist on and you're good to go. I'm curious your take is, somebody who's been on the front lines of this as it evolved. How has the industry adapted to that, and what is the future of the industry long term?
Well, I think the industry's fine. I think a lot of it's going into the app area. I mean, you see how iHeartRadio, and Odyssey, they have their own apps for the radio stations. Now you can hear anything you want to hear. Look, I listen to a lot. I'm a huge Boston Red Sox fan. I'm a huge sports fan, right? Huge Red Sox fan. By the way, don't even get me going on what's going on with that team. And, I mean, that's just a whole lot. We could talk forever on that. We could get with Chaim Bloom and the GM that's going, forget it. Anyway, also a Dolphins fan. So I go on to Odyssey, and I like listening to WFAN. Even though I'm a Red Sox fan, Boomer and Geo in the morning. See, now there's something I would never have been able to listen to had there not been the internet, right?
Yeah.
Not had been. So you've actually got, it's not a bad thing. A lot of them are actually going into other, they're cross streaming. It's really all good. It really is. As far as revenue goes for radio stations, they're making their money now. And we've seen this over the course. I've been doing this now for 15, 16, 17 years. You see the revenues go, and you see the streaming revenue go up, and regular terrestrial radio revenue going down. The money is still there. Radio is still as strong as ever.
Well, Rob, I can promise you this, at least in Phoenix right now, and I can't speak for LA and New York because it's probably not the case there yet, but a local sports radio talk show host in Phoenix is doing far better financially than a local television sportscaster. And 20 years ago, that would never have been the case.
It's changed the game.
Yeah, I mean, so you're doing better as a radio guy than a TV guy. Now, there's the problems are there are not that many jobs available in any given market. But if you got a radio talk show as a sports guy, you're doing way better than a local TV person. I can promise you that. And that would not have been the case 30, 40 years ago. guaranteed.
Absolutely. And I'll give you another example is take, for example, Jeep Beach Radio. Okay. Talk about a niche. Now, I've been involved with this charity. Jeep Beach is a charity, 501c3, and it started 19 years ago, going into 20 years. Our big 20th anniversary, week is huge. I tell you right now, guys, if you want to take a vacation, bring the family. This is the place to be. You're going to see all kinds of stuff. Music, bands playing all the time. It's a massive, go to jeepbeach.com and you'll find out all the details and what's gone on in the past. Anyway, I've been doing this now, and it was such a small event, and it has grown over the years, as has the social media page. There are hundreds of thousands of likes and people who follow Jeep Beach. Thus, those are the listeners we're going after for Jeep Beach Radio. And the numbers are great. I'm also on a podcast called Jeep Beach News and Views, and also for off-roaders, also associated with Jeep Beach, it's the Off-Road Toolbox, all of which you can find anywhere, which if you like podcasts. So we're doing all kinds of stuff. But there's your built-in audience. If you found a niche, you can do something from your own house, and broadcast and put it out there. And you can make anything, you can do whatever you want. Live 365 is who we go through. They take care of all the broadcast, all the rights, ASCAP, BMI. They got a few different ones that they cover for one fee. So you don't have to worry about the rights of playing the music. So it's easy as ever. If you have that niche, you can find something. They've got followers. You want to start a radio station, people are going to listen.
Well, I love that, you've evolved, Rob, and the Jeep Beach thing is huge, and you're passionate about Jeeps. And it's, I've been down to visit you down there near Daytona Beach, and we've gone with your Jeep on the beach, and it's a good time down there. So it sounds like you found a good niche for yourself, and you got a great life down there living in Florida.
Oh, this is phenomenal. I'll tell you something else. Not only has Jeep Beach taken off, Jeep corporate, there are 500 Jeep Beach edition Jeeps right from the factory being made because of Jeep Beach. You can get them in the Southeast. They're loaded. It's just they got the logos and all that right from the factory. This isn't something they do an aftermarket thing. This is it's kind of gotten, it's pretty big. It's gotten pretty big. We're also going to be on the radio. They're going to put us on Jeep Beach or Jeep.com on the corporate website where you can hear the radio station.
See, what about the Sirius XM? Is that a thing that you guys might be cracking into at some point?
There's a couple of different avenues that we're discussing. I don't know about Sirius XM. That would be kind of cool, but that's really not up to us. I'm not too involved with, the directors, they take care of a lot of that. We are involved with some local terrestrial radio stations here that are, they kind of partner with us and do some things with us. So I don't know what the future brings, but this is, like I said, we're going to be going on 2 years. It's been a year and a half since the radio station's been on, and the guys that run it, it's me, another couple of guys. We're all old radio guys that, and I stress old, that we've been doing this for a long time. So we know a little bit about the industry. So we know couple of different avenues to take this to. It really depends on what the directors of Jeep Beach want to do now. It's funny to say that because the directors used to be a couple of guys we'd have, barbecues with and party with and stuff like that. And it's a corporate thing.
Right. I want to talk quick about your transition to Florida because you met Tim when you came down to visit me in Miami. And you, unfortunately, are the reason that I have a really bad tattoo on my back right shoulder blade. So,
did you get that tattoo in Miami?
Oh, yeah. I got that tattoo with Rob, and it was in the morning, and we were sober.
It was April 2001.
What a bad decision that was.
It was. It was an impulse buy.
You haven't gotten that thing lasered off yet? Don't show anybody.
No, I'm not showing it. No. Nobody's getting that. I'm planning, getting the lasered off is in the works for 2023 because it's time for it to go. But here's the public service announcement. Never get a tattoo as an impulse buy.
Yeah, I think most people know that.
I think they do.
Yeah. Well, but Rob came down to visit and Rob, I feel in some ways like the fact that I used to call you every Sunday, Tim and I would be at Nikki Beach Club in Miami Beach on Sunday, and I would call you, and what would I tell you when I would call you?
You would say, this would be Dave. Rob, you owe it to yourself. You owe it to yourself. Come down. You've got to come down. I'm like, I'll be down sometime. I'll be down sometime. What got me down there was when you guys were the business, your company was sold, and you were all going to be out. You're losing your jobs.
Yeah,
so
you better get down then because we were all going to have to move.
Yeah.
I think that was a Sunday tradition. I mean, I think that me being from Chicago and Dave being from Syracuse, that Nikki Beach era for anybody that was around Miami South Beach in like 2000, that was the best party in the history of the planet. And so I think Dave and I felt compelled to call everybody back in Syracuse and Chicago and tell them what a good time they were missing in the middle of the winter, and they should get down there and visit. And a lot of people did.
We'd roll down there. We'd roll out to Nikki Beach, like 2, 3 in the afternoon. It was not a nighttime party. It was like the one daytime party of the week. And we'd get there, mid-afternoon, and we'd be there until about 10 o'clock. And it was just it's such a great scene. And it was maybe the hardest door to crack in all of South Beach. And Tim and I actually we were working both the front door and the back door. Tim had Big Jerry at the back,
right,
hooking him up to get in, and I had Joseph at the front, who was letting me in. So I'd get a couple in through the front with Joseph. Tim would get a couple in through the back with Big Jerry, and then we had Tara, our friend, the waitress, who would
getting in anywhere in South Beach in that era was an adventure. It had to be. You had to start thinking about it 3 hours before you went out that night. Like, all right, how many people do we have? Who's at the door? How are we going to do this? Are we going to? Yeah, I mean, it was like the generals at West Point planning the invasion of the country. That's how much thought went into trying to how we're going to get into this fucking nightclub tonight. I mean, it's true.
I remember going too. Dave, I remember going to that and being so hungover and sick when we went. I had to go back, take a nap. And I rallied and showed back up, and you guys were still there.
Yeah, there was no napping on our part.
Well, you guys were pros. I was an amateur.
Yeah. The amateurs didn't quite make it all the time. The Midwesterners and the upstate New Yorkers had some trouble coming down and adapting for the 4-day stretch. We were conditioned for the 4-day marathon that was a weekend, and believe me, it was a 4-day weekend. Actually, pretty much it was like
how many people, Tim, over the years, during our 3 years there, how many people did we see come down and let's just say their bodies in one way or another did not react well to the festivities that were taking place on a 4-day period?
Yeah,
it was rough. I remember that. It was rough.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
It was rough, but it was fun. It was just it was a great time. All right. So, hey, Rob, we're not going to keep you much longer. This is an impromptu thing, but just real quick, it's Christmas weekend. What comes to mind to you for Christmas? Family memories. Like, what's special about the holidays for you?
Oh, I'll never forget the time it was me and my cousins. We were always used to get together at my grandparents' house, and we were playing throwing snowballs, see how far we could throw a snowball. And they kind of lived like on this cul-de-sac, and there was homes on left and right, and we see how far we could throw a snowball. And we could never tell. I mean, it was dark outside, so we just rear and throw back, all three of us, and all of a sudden we hear this and we all ran back into the house, and I'll never forget it, man. It's just in the phone call rang my parents and my grandparents' house, and there was a glass that broke, and one of us threw a snowball through. We denied it. We're like, no, and they went over and and they saw these snowballs, and they saw some apples that we were throwing, and they knew we did it. We kind of fessed up to it, but that was the big memory. We'd always get together at the grandparents' house. And that was when we were a little older, and that was one of the last times we ever got together there. I can tell you that.
Good stuff.
Well, at least the cops didn't show up.
No cops.
I can remember, this isn't a great story, but I can remember one Christmas Eve we were all at my grandparents' house, and there's nowhere to park because everybody's visiting, so people were parked on both sides of the street. It was odd even parking, and they had cops actually coming down the street 6 p.m. on Christmas Eve ticketing cars. It's like, come on, man.
Well, that's Syracuse for you.
There you go. All right, Rob. Thanks a lot, man.
Hey, no, you're not getting out that easy, Tim. Come on.
I came from a small family. We opened presents on Christmas morning. We put out juice and cookies for Santa at night. We opened one present on Christmas Eve. There you go. That's it. That's my Christmas memories. It was the same thing every year. And
Yeah,
then we always
I'm breaking windows, and Dave's getting
right.
tickets.
No, that's it.
Yeah.
Very middle
Yeah,
class,
Tim's
Midwestern
living a
family.
clean life.
Now I got my own family. We do the same thing. My wife and kids are all going skiing in Mammoth for Christmas break. I got to stay back and work to do some radio, Rob.
Oh, really? What kind of radio? What are you doing?
I'm doing sports talk on the ESPN radio affiliate here, Arizona Sports 98.7 in Phoenix. For those who are
Awesome.
listening from or watching this from out of town. So Arizona Sports 98.7 is home of the Cardinals, Suns, Coyotes, D-backs, and then they're not 24 hour, but they're all sports talk, and then broadcasting the games and the pregame shows.
Are you what air shift? What time?
Well, see, I'm a freelancer, so I fill in on all the shows when needed, and because
So you work the holidays.
So when the holidays roll around, I'm always needed. So I've worked every day in December. I'm doing Suns radio tonight, and then it'll kind of dry up for me in late January, and it'll be sporadic after that. So, but it's good. I mean, listen, I have other stuff I need to do, so as a freelancer, it's great. Just to get on the radio once in a while and sling some bullshit to the listeners.
Hey, speaking of sports, we should bring up one sports topic before we bounce. So real quick, Rob, I know you are you're as big a sports fan as I know. I know you are as dialed into sports topics across all sports as anybody I know. I'm curious your take, being out here in the Bay Area. Of course, the big story this week is Carlos Correa. Suddenly he's going to be a San Francisco Giant, and then the Mets swoop in and vulture him at the last second. And you look at what the Mets have done this offseason, $800 million they have committed in payroll this offseason. Their luxury tax for next year is going to be over $110 million. It's going to be, the luxury tax alone is going to be higher than the complete payroll of a half dozen teams. And I'm just curious, what's your take on that? I mean, is this getting out of control? That's a lot of spending.
I have no problem with it at all. The reason all that happened is because you have the Red Sox, who all of a sudden don't want to spend anything and letting everybody go. Now, look, if they would have signed Xander Bogaerts back in the spring, offered him the same deal they offered the Japanese dude that they got coming in playing right field or left field this year, I forgot the dude, but I forgot the guy's name. Even Xander himself said, I would have signed that deal. You've got these guys at the Red Sox now, and I know why they're doing that. They're doing it because the owner, the Fenway Group, he's bought the Penguins, the NHL franchise. Him and LeBron James, the Fenway Group, they're going in and buying the Vegas franchise. So they don't have the money to throw around like Steve Cohen. They did before. You remember, they bought a couple of World Series. They mixed in some high-priced free agents at the time with some of the talent that they had. And I blame the Red Sox. If they would have paid for some of their guys to stay, they didn't even want Mookie Betts. They blew that one. All of that is on the ownership and that GM that they got from Tampa. The Red Sox are now known as the Tampa North Red Sox because that's what they are.
I do love that all lines lead back to the Red Sox.
But Dave, I will say this. After a couple of years of trying to be frugal and watching spending, baseball is back with the...
That's the way it should be. They've got the money. Spend it. And when the fans start saying, well, it makes sense, their budget. Look, if you're a fan of a team, who cares what they spend? I don't think Mets fans are complaining about their budget. Same with the Padres. No. Are you, Dave? You're a Mets fan.
Well, no, yeah, listen, I'm not complaining about the budget, but I'm just saying, listen, Mets fans are happy about it. The players who are getting the money are happy about it. The Players Association is happy about it. But at some point, it needs to be a little bit leveled off, and whether or not they need to readdress the cap or whatever, that's a topic for people that are smarter analytically with the financial stuff than I am. But I just think when you got one team throwing
what cap
million,
there's no cap. Look, you need a salary floor is what you need, because you've got these teams, they don't want to spend any money. Well, get out. Right. To get out. There's plenty of people. There's plenty of people out there who have the money and know they can make money. They spend the money for these franchises. They're making money. Get out. Just find new owners. Tampa. I mean,
And by the way, Rob, speaking of that, the San Diego Padres have blown the whole small market teams can't compete
Bingo.
bullshit right out of the water.
Exactly.
So
Yep.
now the Pirates and the D-backs, they have no excuse. Like the Padres can do it, you can do it. You just don't want to do it, you know? And if you can't do it as an owner, then sell it to somebody who can.
Exactly. Then get out. Get someone else in.
Because
And that's
you know
what
there's plenty of billionaires out there that would love to have a team and love to try to compete to win. Like this 42-year-old kid, and he's a kid because he's 42. He's worth 5.9 billion. He just bought the Suns. And believe me, he's going to spend money to win championships.
That's how it's done. That's how you have to do it. That's what they're complaining about in Boston now. They want the owner. John Henry's like, hey, John Henry, thank you very much for what you did in the past. Move on and let someone else come in. Because this whole Tampa philosophy, look, they hired a Tampa GM to run the show a couple of years ago. First thing he did was he traded Mookie Betts. You found out that the big guy that they traded for, his name was Jeter Downs. They just released him. Now he's with the Nationals. So, I mean, they got Verdugo who plays outfield. He might be gone too. They're talking about that. So it's crazy. They just wanted to run that franchise. And that's why, if you think about it, some of the teams that are being frugal now, one of which is the Red Sox, could you imagine had they spent some money on Mookie Betts years ago when he was a free agent, spent some money on Xander back at the beginning of the season last year when they were looking and talking and he threw an insult at him, they would have signed him. None of this would have went on. Yeah, Judge would have gotten his money, but, it's just, you've got the players, they can do it. I mean, Cone can do it. For the Mets, that's just the way things are going. It's going to happen. It's going to keep going.
Well, it's an interesting spending spree for a sport. A lot of people say is dying, but it certainly isn't dying this offseason. That's for sure. All right, man. Listen, Rob, appreciate the time. You're as always fantastic. Being able to come on in a pinch and bail us out
anytime.
5-minute warning. He got a 5-minute warning,
literally.
And he brought Mookie Betts' hot takes to the table. All right, Dave, everybody have a great Christmas. If you're watching this after Christmas, we hope you had a great Christmas and will have a very happy New Year. Dave, final thoughts? Rob, thanks again, man.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, and we'll see. I may sprinkle in some outtakes here and see if I can sprinkle in some other guests and to spice this up a little in the final YouTube version. But everybody, thanks for watching. Make sure you're following us. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Twitter. And please be a regular participant. We'll be back with a live show on No Filter coming up right after the holidays, the first week of January. But until then, everybody, thanks so much. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. And Tim and Rob, talk to you both again real soon.